from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Ouch is all I have to say. That hurt a little.
See, that's what happens, man. Don't be picking on the little guy.
Yeah, you elbowed me right in the tramp stamp. If I had a tramp stamp like you do.
The smiley face. What's up, Crudy? Welcome back to Milwaukee, man. Always a pleasure. It's a dreary Monday, but, man, it's always sunny inside the studio when you show your smiling dimples.
Well, buddy, I was just thinking the pleasure is all yours.
Yes, it is.
Let me ask you quickly before we jump into the topics of this big show and another big show. It's incredible. Every day a big show. Buddy, have you applied for your Scott Walker breeder bribe?
You know, I was just talking to my wife about this the other day. I got a little thing in the mail, you know, kind of telling you how to do it. And I just wonder, why don't you just give me the money? Why do I got to apply for Jack? You know, every other tax
they are aware whether or not you have
comes
children
around or down. Right. I mean, you know it when I file my taxes. Why do I have to apply for it?
Well, because then you've got to take a conscious step, because if you're uninformed.
If I had kids in my 2017 tax returns, can I just assume to have kids in 2018?
But you assume this is somehow associated with your taxes. This is a pure bribe, a pure payoff, Dom.
So I'm not
political upside for the governor, or why even bother?
I'm going to fill it out. I'll take the money, and then I'm going to send them a bill for $150 for the time it takes me out of my day to apply for my own money.
I don't think you'll get paid.
My time is not free.
Couldn't you have found a better, I'm going to bill the governor back for my time? Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah. He'd say, have more kids.
It's so stupid. But no, I'll do what I got to do to get my $100, and I'm not going to vote for him. So there.
Well, 2 children, $200. $100 a kid. $100 a head.
The breeder tag.
Do you have to brand their asses like salvias?
No, it's a W for Walker, man. This is Walker's money. You know, he's going to be doing the branding here.
No, it's our money that Walker gets to bribe
us with our own money?
Like 1.2 million of us with, right? That's his plan. $122 million, something like that. Just a small price to play. We as the taxpayers, so Scott Walker can win a few extra votes.
So do we have to go through this process so we, while we're doing this, are thinking of Scott Walker? Because, again, my tax returns for 2017 just filed on April 15th. They know if I got kids, why not just apply?
I filed an extension.
You may have. I did not for once. Why not just apply to those who had kids in 2017? Because he wants you to, number one, work for no reason, and number two, think of him while you're working for no reason. I think that's a great idea. Everybody, while you're wasting your time getting your own money back from this governor as an election gimmick, think about how much time he's wasting of yours. Did you fill yours out yet?
No, I told the wife, baby, go do that.
Yeah, she should get right on that.
Well, if she wants the money, I would presume she wants the money, right?
It's both of your money.
Well, yes, sure. But of course, I don't do most of the kid stuff. I mean, I went to the arcade yesterday. That's no cheap date anymore.
They still have arcades?
They got a super cool arcade in Madison. They should be a sponsor here. I went there for the first time yesterday. You buy armbands, and all the games are free.
Nice.
Yeah, so even really bad arcade game players like yourself.
The old school ones, I think they have a couple in town that are going to be opening up or may even be opened up now. You have the old school games like Centipede and Pac-Man. Any of the new updated, VR, virtual reality
I played
games?
What was Ugly Joe, the boxing game.
Oh, the Glass
Joe.
Yeah. Uppercut,
body blow. Do that before every show, warm up for that. I had fun playing 1942, one of my favorites. Played just one or two Donkey Kong. Not as good as I used to be. Golden Tee, the golf game. I played some of that.
Versus Trump's favorite, Golden P.
A lot of first-person shooter games.
Yes.
A lot of shooting being done. And, of course, the Star Wars games, Tom. Had to push a kid aside to get one of them. He wasn't my kid, so I didn't care. True Republican-like fashion.
Yeah, my game. How much, what was the armband? How much do you have to pay to get in the door?
Well, I had myself and I believe 3 younger people with me. I think the one thing I did scam, anybody over 15, and my kids are not. And the one kid I thought had just mentioned, just turned 15 in the car, you know? Anybody 15 or over? Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I've verified. If
I didn't see it on a driver's license.
If there were still drive-in theaters, Crudy, you'd be throwing kids in the trunk.
Oh, yeah. Wheel well, are you kidding me? A little duct tape, just stick them up on there.
Hang on tight, kids.
So the other person's kid, we got some family plan. It was $25 for the 4 of us, which I didn't think was that bad.
It's not bad at all. Hell, man, I used to spend that as a kid. 25
Steal
cents
it out of
back in
Ben's
the 80s.
money
you know
jar.
Yeah, right.
And that's just to clear the first level of Pac-Man.
Oh, Pac-Man, if you're lucky, but you've played the big ones. You know, with the cartoony looking ones. What was? I forget the. Like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of game.
Dragon Slayer.
There you go,
Yeah.
Dragon Slayer.
I didn't see that they had that one.
Yeah.
Too many quarters. Too much giveaway. So anyways, back to the show.
What was the point of all that?
Scott Walker, breeder bonus.
Oh, yeah.
I saw in Madison, there are some that, you know, perceive it to be dirty money. Like, I'm not going to take it. It's Walker's dirty money.
Absolutely take it. It's your money. And just, again, motivate yourself to convince somebody else not to vote for that guy. That's your payment.
Excellent. I'd be curious, though. Have you applied? Are you hesitant to go seek the money? Now, me personally, I'm not clear that I'd ever take the step. You know me. I'm not really a computer savvy, literate kind of guy. It seemed like a step I might get around to.
I guess I'm unclear.
Not that I got $200 is to burn, but I got a wife. I know she's always got something to do with the kids, so she will probably apply and get the check, and it can be her money to
Is it an
spend on our
online
boys.
thing? Or is it a mail-in
Yeah,
thing?
I think you got to do something online.
Well, what if you don't have a computer?
Well, you know what else you need? Their social security numbers. My wife's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
Yes.
I'm like, it's on the taxes, babe. She's like, we don't file those this time of year.
Yes, Governor Walker. All that information is already on the taxes, but I digress.
Is it on your voter registration? Because that's all he really wants to know. Are you voting for him?
No.
Did the $100 buy your vote?
No.
What if I give you $100 per kid?
No.
Sure it will.
No, it won't.
Maybe not you.
Are you gonna flip
Well,
over?
there wasn't not $1 million per kid, although I'd certainly consider
There
it.
is no.
Might soften my
listen,
stance.
As an independent who, unfortunately, regretfully, once voted for that guy, there is
Only
no
once? You
amount
sure it
of
was
money.
once?
I'm positive. There's no amount of money that man could give me of my own money to convince me to vote for him. But I will always take my own money.
Dominic Big Show today. Fred Royal, president, NAACP chapter, Milwaukee branch. We're going to do something special. 6 o'clock. We're going to rebroadcast the Earl Ingram show. It was the culmination of the 200 Nights Marching Open Housing Marches, the 50th anniversary. Fred Royal's going to discuss it. They help sponsor our fine broadcast. We're going to replay that starting at 6 o'clock tonight. I see Fred Royal. He's a timely guest. I like that. Welcome, Fred, out there on the porch. Also, Terrance Warthen, Our Wisconsin Revolution, going to talk to us in the happy hour. Dom, you had noted a point, the Our Revolution, the Bernie Sanders outfit, and Bernie made his big announcement, running for re-election.
Really?
As a senator from Vermont, but his organization has not been, let's call it, as persuasive as they'd like to be. And there are perhaps some examples of an organization that's in shambles, some might say. But I think our friend Terrance is going to point out, here in the state of Wisconsin, Our Wisconsin Revolution, well, that's a vibrant organization. They're doing well. They got a town hall tonight. Foxconn, the topic. We'll discuss it all in the 5 o'clock hour.
I can't wait.
Let's get started here, Tom.
Let's take a break and then get started.
Oh, well, let's take a break right now then. What are you waiting for in there, Carrie?
More arcade
He's
talk.
he's in there playing Dig Dug.
I loved it. I was just thinking Dig Dug. I loved that game when I was a kid.
Yeah. What was your favorite? Were you good at any video games?
It was like the kung fu fighting ones. The jump over.
Mortal Kombat.
Well, that was a little bit later. I did play Mortal Kombat as a young adult, but I'm talking about. I mean, to be able to have a computer that was interactive with you. I mean, beyond the days of Pong, when I could go and play Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, those were classics. Defender, Zaxxon. Fantastic games. I'm still a gamer, man.
They had a Defender machine not plugged in.
I'm playing. I'm an Xbox One guy now, and I play some Far Cry once in a while. It's a long ways.
What is
from
Far Cry?
Pac-Man? You go around and basically got to wax a bunch of extremist cult people. That
Shooting game.
Yeah, first person.
Kill 'em
shooter.
all.
Kill 'em all.
You are the problem with America, just ask Tipper Gore.
Yeah.
Didn't hear that name coming, did you?
No.
Didn't see that one coming. We are the Devil's Advocates. You never see us coming. 844-967-2789. You can always join us via text, via phone. It's toll free. At least I think it is. Take Dom's word for it. Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't supposed to be playing that.
Oh my God! Who the hell cares?
Having a great time.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
It's Meals on Wheels. 1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Sundays for Meet the Press with Chuck Todd from 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the Jeff Santos Show, kicking ass for the middle class from 12 to 3 p.m. And Citizen Action's Battleground Wisconsin rages from 3 to 4 p.m. Get your groove on with Stu Man PM, politics and music, 4 to 6 p.m. with Stu Daniels. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
J.D. Davis Funeral Home, located at 4803 West Burlott Street, is dedicated, dignified, and distinguished in serving you in your time of need. Direct cremation specials starting at a very low cost of $595. That does not include cremation permit or crematory fee. Traditional funeral packages starting at $1,995 with a 20-gauge metal casket included. Title 19, Milwaukee County General Assistance accepted. Call today, 414-444-8300.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are
a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that
I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
The Devil's Advocates, making radio great again.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming this fine program on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio. And if you missed any of this program, please check out the website for podcast and interviews, domandcroot.com.
I wish we'd have gone on the video game tangent later. Like, who would Donald Trump be as a video game character? I'm going to jump into this piece. Lucian Truscott, what more do you need to know about Trump? I've been covering Trump, the Trump story, for over a year now, and I'm sick and tired of stacking up the details of his treachery day after day, week after week. What more do you need to know? He's a lying, thieving, incompetent, ignorant traitor who conspired with the Russian government to steal the election of 2016 and illegally defeat a candidate who won the popular vote by nearly 3 million ballots. His presidency is illegitimate, and his occupation of the White House is a stain on our nation's honor and a threat to our democracy. History will cast him into the same sewer in which float the putrid remains of Benedict Arnold, Jefferson Davis, and Richard Nixon. Impeachment would be too kind an end for him. He belongs behind bars, broken and bankrupt and disgraced. Every day, the front pages of newspapers and the headlines of cable news shows are filled with the evidence of Trump's lies and thievery. Look at what happened this week alone. Trump started out denying that he even used Stormy Daniels. Then he denied having a sexual relationship with her. Then he said he didn't know about any payoffs to her. Monday, he filed this required federal financial disclosure form in which he effectively admitted making the $130,000 payment to shut her up just before the election of 2016, Dom. He did an about-face on trade restrictions on China, announcing that he would seek to help the Chinese communications giant ZTE, which paid a $1.2 billion fine last year for violating sanctions against trade with North Korea and Iran. 3 days previously, China had issued a $500 million loan to a development project in Singapore that includes a Trump-branded hotel, golf course, and condos. Dom, he opened the American embassy in Jerusalem, a move he had been warned would result in fighting and deaths in the Middle East. And sure enough, dozens of Palestinians were killed on the day the embassy opened during demonstrations in the Gaza Strip. The Trump White House refused to apologize for a sick joke made about John McCain by one of his aides. Trump's former Secretary of State gave a commencement speech at VMI in which he made repeated veiled criticisms of Trump's lying and warned gravely, if our leaders seek to conceal the truth, as we as people become accepting of alternative realities that are no longer grounded in facts, then we as an American citizens are on a pathway to relinquishing our freedom. Special counsel Robert Mueller issued a subpoena to a former aide of Trump's longtime consultant Roger Stone, who has admitted being in touch during the campaign of 2016 with the Russian intelligence agent involved in the hacking of the Democratic Party emails. A major story in BuzzFeed on Thursday detailed work by Trump's personal lawyer Michael Cohen on a 100-story Trump skyscraper in Moscow during the 2015, right before the Republican National Convention in 2016. It was revealed that Trump signed a letter of intent on the Moscow Project on the day of the third Republican primary debate, October 28, 2015, in Boulder, Colorado. ABC News reported last week that Trump has denied having deals in Russia hundreds of times in the past 18 months. Just before the inauguration in 2017, for example, Trump tweeted, "Russia has never tried to use leverage over me. I have nothing to do with Russia. No deals, no loans, no nothing, Dom."
A Qatar deal was announced. The revelation follows a report that during the transition of 2016, Qatari diplomat was asked by Trump lawyer Cohen for a $1 million fee in return for arranging connections to the Trump family. The government of Qatar bought a $6.5 million apartment in Trump World Tower on the east side of Manhattan recently. The news of last week was a perfect mix of lies, thievery, buffoonery, and malice that have characterized the entirety of Trump's presidency. He promised to get rid of Obamacare on day one. He failed. Obamacare is alive and well and enjoyed record registrations last year. His executive orders on everything from immigration to environmental regulations have ignored requirements for public comment and simple federal paperwork and faces lawsuits from one end of the country to the other. He claimed that nobody has been tougher on Russia than I have, and he has refused to enact most of the sanctions on Russia passed by Congress. He appointed a hatchet man who sued the EPA over a dozen times to head up the agency, and that man, Pruitt, currently faces no less than 14 investigations of his tenure there, including allegations he broke federal laws on office renovations and accepting gifts from lobbyists when he rented a room at below market rates from a lobbyist. We're going to run out of time, so I'm going to skip forward here briefly. But it's his lies about Russia that really ring a bell. Trump and his White House surrogates began by claiming that the Trump campaign never met with any Russians and had nothing to do with Russia. Revelation after revelation about contacts between Trump people and Russians followed. Then they claimed they had met with only a few Russians. More revelations about more Russians. Then they claimed that they not met with a few Russians about the campaign. The Trump Tower meeting was revealed. Meets between George Papadopoulos and Russians in London came to light. Trump suddenly started claiming that there was no collusion. Evidence of collusion emerged. Then Trump began claiming that even if there was collusion, it was not illegal. Indictments came down. How Rudy Giuliani is out there telling the world that even if Trump did something wrong, he can't be indicted as a sitting president.
Dom, I'm going to jump ahead to the very final paragraph. He has reached the ground floor with Russia and everything else. You can lie at rallies. You can lie to the media. You can lie to voters. But lies don't work when it comes up against laws. That's where Trump finds himself today. He's lying, thieving traitor who conspired with a hostile nation to steal the presidential election of 2016 and got caught. Not even bone spurs will get him a deferment this time. Come back. More Devil's Advocates. Fred Royal is next.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice! Mommy, why are we going to the store? Mom, I want juice. Mom, juice, Mom.
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
It's hard to dream when you're fighting for 15. This is Pizza Box Mike for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Check out fightfor15.org to get involved in the fight for 15.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
If you're like a lot of companies, you know you need IT, but you aren't sure where to start. That's where Five9s comes in. Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO. For almost 15 years, Five9 has been providing IT solutions to companies just like yours. We'll show you the solutions that are right for your business and give you the roadmap to success in the future. Find us at five9s.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Josh Call, the candidate for Wisconsin Attorney General.
Do you think voter ID had a suppressive effect, not on 100 voters, but on thousands of voters and perhaps tipped the election to Donald Trump?
This is an issue that came up at our trial. And first of all, I should thank you guys because we actually introduced into evidence the recording of you interviewing Dale Schultz, who was talking about the passage of the voter ID law. That was one of our pieces of evidence.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Several artists groups from the River West neighborhood are hoping to renovate and reopen the Grand Theater, located in the 2900 block of North Holton Avenue. A new proposal would use $2 million to restore the 107-year-old theater. The space could be used for live performances, weddings, and other events. The proposal will be reviewed by the Milwaukee Common Council's Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee tomorrow. Outside today, rain likely, then a 60% chance of rain tonight, lows in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, clearing skies, highs in the low 60s. And for Wednesday, mostly sunny with highs in the low 70s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Grass-fed, locally raised, 100% organic. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. We'd like to welcome right now a fine guest live in studio. He's Fred Royal. He is the president of the NAACP in Milwaukee. Fred, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates, man.
Hey, glad to be back with you guys.
Thank you, Fred. Always a pleasure, man.
Fred, got to tell you, we were proud to present this big broadcast, and we appreciate the support of the NAACP of Milwaukee, our broadcast partners in this event. The 200 nights, the open housing marches, the 50th anniversary thereof. It started with a bus trip, and our own Earl Ingram Jr. got on the bus. We thought it was great radio. We played it out on Saturday, and then some great speeches, including the headliner, Gwen Moore. We're going to, in fact, replay the entirety of that event, or at least hours 1 and 3, today between 6 and 8 p.m. Central Time. But Fred, A, thanks for the sponsorship, and B, history that Dom was just telling you. We'd like to think, Dominic and I would like to think we're well-read progressives, that we plug in, that we read our articles, and this is history. Until I started hearing this story about 200 days ago, I was completely unaware of this story, Fred. I'm not clear how many Wisconsinites know this history.
And that's the problem with American history, right, is that we don't tell our true history. And we talk about the struggles of race relations in this community. You don't find out about that in NPS. You don't see it in a textbook anywhere. And it should be, because it's rich. I mean, even though it was controversial, it's still a true narrative of the struggles that we went through and the progress that we've come to at this point in time. So, I mean, people should be proud of that. I think it's something to shout.
Fred, so many of the people, the participants from 50 years ago, they were really young kids. These were
babies.
15, 17-year-olds. Now they're in their 60s, and this generational torch is perhaps being passed. But let's start off. These marches, these protests that happened in Milwaukee, I mean, this was really a protest led by young people, Fred.
Most protests are. If you look at the march across Selma Bridge, the March for the Voting Rights, that was led by SNCC and CORE, and those were groups of young individuals in college. See, we old Longtooth, folks, we're the strategists. but the activists are the people that get out in the streets and actively protest, quite similar to the Black Lives Matter movement today.
And Fred, do you think there has been a changing of the guard? Do you think there are groups of millennials, activated young people that are carrying forth, or do you think it's not enough?
So it's not a sense of them against us. It's a collective we, that when movements are engaged, there are various levels of activity that have to occur. Public awareness is certainly one of them. But when you have these cries for justice, you have to have a definitive ask. And a lot of times those definitive asks are developed by folks that are more seasoned, that have a little more history about the legislation pieces that need to be promoted to ensure that whatever activity is being addressed or having attention drawn to has a positive outcome.
Fred, let's look back 50 years. What was the ask? What was the purpose of the open housing marches?
Just that, fair housing. The access for minorities to move into neighborhoods that had covenants set in place so that we could not rent or purchase homes in various neighborhoods like Brown Deer or Bayview, Walker's Point. These neighborhoods were totally closed off. Whitefish Bay was Whitefish Bay, just as it implies. The biggest thing that occurred, if you understood the history of Milwaukee at that time, I think it was Brown Street from 27th to 35th to North Avenue that was considered the black community. That area was like, that's why Brownsville is still a historical so rich, important to the black community, because that was like the spot.
Fred, here we are 50 years later. I hear your friend Earl Ingram Jr. in the mornings often talking about we've got a worse lead pipe circumstance perhaps than Flint, Michigan does. We've got a number of issues with our MPS schools, and we've got, rivaling charter schools and voucher schools and for-profit schools. Seems like we've got plenty of problems here in Milwaukee, in the city currently. Fred, if you had a wager, if you had a, articulate it, what do you think the ask should be today?
So there are multiple asks, because as you so eloquently articulated, we have multiple opportunities for improvement. The lead lateral issue is a national issue. Chicago, Illinois has identified over 400,000 residents that have lead lateral issues that need to be addressed. So this is something that is just because of the age of the infrastructure coming to light. And to me, it's a jobs program. It's an opportunity to improve the tax base so that we can plug in some of these potholes. Because if you remember, at one point in time, the city of Milwaukee, we used to be proud that we didn't have potholes like Chicago, but we can't profess that anymore. So that's one issue, right? When you talk about MPS and the disparities and the monies that are allocated to MPS because of charter and choice, and then the legislation that was enacted that only impacts Class A cities with 500,000 or more, ensures that the city of Milwaukee is the only city impacted by this types of legislation. I have consistently asked our black legislators, or any legislator in the state of Wisconsin, to ask the Fiscal Audit Bureau, the Bureau of Fiscal
Legislative Fiscal Bureau, yes, sir.
Legislative Fiscal Bureau, to run an inquiry to see just what legislation only impacts a Class A city with 500,000 or more, and let's do the study and see how much disparity in resources the city is actually receiving from the state, so that we can address some of the school issues, so that we can address some of the inequalities and the ability to raise revenue to fix the potholes, right? So there's a need for us to raise revenue, because I think we only have one revenue source, and that's or two, income taxes and property taxes. So why did they put only a cap on the county hotels and and I know that's the district board, but still we're capped at raising revenue of hotels, of parking, or I should say car rentals, where every other county is allowed to raise that revenue. So we've got plenty of issues that we can address.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Fred Royal, the president of the Milwaukee chapter of the NAACP, joins us in studio talking about and celebrating the 50th anniversary of the open housing marches. Fred, I was able to help Earl produce that show, and while my head was down working quite a bit, I was able to hear the interviews and listen to the voices and meet the folks that were on the ground at that time. And here's a question I have for you, and this is what I've been thinking about over the last several days, because it was really impactful for me, Fred, I got to tell you. But as much as we talked about, a lot of the folks that were involved have passed away and are no longer with us, looking at some of the pictures and reporting done, for example, in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, a lot of these black and white photos, and you saw these young African Americans walking across the viaduct and being met by thousands of white nationalist protesters with Nazi signs throwing bricks and bottles. And as much as some of those folks have moved along and passed away, those Nazis had children. Mm-hmm. And some of those folks are still alive. How do you think, where do we stand, do you think, on the race relations? I'd like to think that perhaps we've evolved to great degrees, and certainly open housing is a great step. But just because someone may be able to rent a property doesn't mean that they're actually seen as equals. How do you think about this sociologically?
So when we look at the phenomena of the Trump era, we see that racism has not subsided as much as we'd like to have thought that we were in a post-racial society with the election of Barack Obama. The rhetoric that the current president has shown to be still relevant in this country shows that we still have a ways to go. And I'm not saying that we'll ever reach utopia, but realistically, I think any intelligent human being would recognize that there's one race, and it's the human race.
You mentioned the president in his 70s now. Of course, he'd been in his early 20s back during these open housing marches. I'm wondering, what side would he have been on? Would he have been walking across that bridge, or would he have been on the other side meeting those protesters?
Fred would tell you, I've read the man's biography. He was charged with discriminating against people of color. Specifically, the Trump organization eventually, without accepting liability, had a pretty substantial settlement with the federal government. No, Trump's always been on the wrong side of racism.
And let's be clear, his father gained his fortune through public housing. He was a...
public housing off the government, huh?
Public housing off the government. I mean, the man was a shrewd realtor, and that's why his brother Fred didn't succeed his father in real estate, because Fred tried to improve the conditions of these tenant complexes in which this government subsidized housing that his father had developed. And he said, "You're spending too much money." He said, "You're not a good businessman. You can't be making these people and having comfortable living conditions. You just do what's barely required." I mean, this is on Meet the Trump. It's a Netflix documentary.
Fred, racism's always been there, but it seems like it's right there on the surface now. Do you think that's changed under Donald Trump?
Oh, he's brought it back to the surface, for sure, with his whole rhetoric of anti-immigration language, anti-Muslim language. When he put in the New York Times full-page ad about convicting these 4 individuals that were sentenced for rape that they were later exonerated from because of DNA testing.
Talking about private citizen Trump going after 4 kids that were charged with rape in New York City.
That had nothing to do with it. Right. So What I see with this president and his administration is that when we even look at how he's reversed the Department of Justice and trying to bring about community problem-oriented policing, and he's had Sessions repeal all the consent decrees and look at all the collaborative review initiatives that had been ongoing after President Obama charged the DOJ with looking at policing for the 21st century. So he's constantly turning the clock back on race relations.
Fred, Earl Ingram Jr., of course, who hosts the morning show here and did the show on Saturday that your organization supported, and we appreciate that, Fred, made a comment that really stuck with me. He said, here in Milwaukee, we got the Bronze Fonz. We have a statue of the Crusher from the professional wrestling coming, but there's no statue to Father Grappi, who helped lead those marches, or Val Phillips, who was also leading those marches. Should there be? And what does the lack of recognition to that degree say about us as a society?
Monroe Swan or Mr. Rose, Clinton Rose. I mean, we've got so many unsung heroes in this community. It says that we still don't recognize minorities as being equivalent or equal.
Fred Royal, President, NAACP, Milwaukee branch. Fred, if you'd be so kind, I'd like to find out, is this changing at all? Is there an evolution? Are we seeing opportunities created? And we're going to talk with the gentleman a little bit later in the show about Foxconn. There's a Townhall today on Foxconn. Well, I know this has been a promise of jobs.
Smokescon?
I put the emphasis on the con portion, Fred. Foxconn. Come back with us and Fred Royal, President, NAACP Milwaukee branch. You're listening to the Devil's Advocates on Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio, 1510 AM Waukesha, Milwaukee, 1580 AM Columbus, Madison.
There's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
We are the People for People Corporation. We are a registered 501c3, totally legit. What do? We take your uncapped, dark money, tax-deductible donations, private or corporate, always anonymous, and we turn it into free speech. Educate Wisconsin through advertising, which may or may not be in coordination with the candidate. Isn't that illegal? It should be, but it's not under Wisconsin law, thanks Governor Scott Walker. Politicians in Wisconsin are beholden to the millionaire and billionaire sugar daddy and sugar mamas that finance their campaigns. Time to make them beholden to we the people for People Corporation. Give your tax-deductible donation to the real patriots, the People for People Corporation, P4PPC.org, P4PPC.org.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, I'm Daryl Ingram of News Talk 1510 WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio, and I am the Director of Advertising and Marketing. The pride of our independent stands runs deep in all that we do here at the station. The thing that I know for sure is that you can count on the quality and independent production of client advertising, mirroring the quality and independence of our fine programming here at News Talk 1510. To learn more, contact me at 414-335-0851 or via email at daryl@newstalk1510am.com.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, streaming live on YouTube and Facebook, on Twitter at Devil Radio, on the phone lines 844-967-2789.
And Dominic, Fred Royal, President, NAACP, Milwaukee Branch, a generous guest. He's stuck around for us. We appreciate it, Fred. The question, and we have many of our best conversations off air, sadly for the audience's sake. But Fred, I guess the question I have is, you know, Milwaukee is still the same, or at least is still a segregated city.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps the worst north of the Mason-Dixon line in the nation. And Dominic was just referencing some of these young people, these young torchbearers that must come next. If there's going to be progress, how do you see the difference in the activism of the young of today and the young that were marching on the bridges 50 years ago in Milwaukee?
It's the exact same. When people are sick and tired of being sick and tired of being looked at as second-class citizens, and this is what came out under the Kerner Commission, when they are treated with less respect by the law enforcement agency that is in charge with policing a community, people get frustrated. And I think that's what we saw in Sherman Park. And if this level of frustration continues, you'll see it mold and explode somewhere else again at some future point in time. But let's be clear. There's always a struggle when you try to pursue change. And as you stated, we have some extreme negative indices that need to be addressed when we talk about our minority community in the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee County. Now, one of the attempts to address that is a resolution that County Supervisor Marina Dmitrievich has just put forth to eliminate discrimination from people using housing choice vouchers, which says that you have rent assistance, you can use that rent assistance to apply for housing throughout Milwaukee County. What we're finding now is the majority of people that receive housing choice vouchers are concentrated within the city of Milwaukee. If we can eliminate that discrimination in fair housing practice, we can be further down the road for dismantling some of the segregation.
Fred, under current state law, nothing obligates a landlord to take Section 8 housing.
Exactly, and that's what the resolution is proposing. It specifically states that you cannot discriminate for a person presenting you a housing choice voucher.
Fred, Superintendent Driver, leaving. In fact, Sunday was her last day at MPS. We've got a new superintendent, and second time in 4 years. Fred, is this a point of encouragement? What's your impression? Keith Posley, I think, the new superintendent, Stain.
Well, I think Mr. Posley has 20 years experience in education in MPS, but I think that what I saw in Dr. Driver was a new direction of collaboration that I hadn't seen with MPS in a long time, and I hope he continues that direction. That would be my hope. I understand he has some challenges with his current budget with a $30 million shortfall, unfortunately. But I hope that he continues the direction that Dr. Driver was going in.
Fred, I've only heard it in Milwaukee in the last couple years, but the city of Milwaukee only gets back about 2/3 of the tax dollars they contribute. People think Milwaukee's some sort of debtor. In fact, it's floating many of the governmental programs in the state. Last 30 seconds, Fred. Would a rebalancing of the state aid, would that, fund some of these big problems you're talking about, sir?
So you either rebalance the funding, shared revenue, or you allow Milwaukee to raise revenue through other taxing streams as you allow other communities in the state of Wisconsin.
If only we had another major league stadium to pay for, Fred. There'd be money for that, you can bet. Fred Royal, President, NAACP Milwaukee Branch, thank you so much for coming down. Don't forget.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Fred.
Don't forget, tune in, a rebroadcast tonight, 6 to 8 p.m., right here on Resistance Radio. Earl Ingram Jr. and the 200 Nights, the 200 Days of Marching, and the 50-year anniversary. It was great radio. It's worth a second listen. Come back with us, Hour 2, Devil's Advocates.
Hadouken! Diversity and diversity. So you can.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. That's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Live via phone, he is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 a.m. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 a.m. WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 a.m. WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
DOJ oversight, CIA first.
I'm Jan Johnson. The White House says the FBI, Justice Department, intel officials, and lawmakers will have a chance to review classified material that could shed light on FBI tactics used during the presidential campaign. Correspondent Jeff Zeleny says a presidential allegation is at the root of it.
The president took to Twitter, saying he demands the Department of Justice look into whether or not the FBI, DOJ infiltrated or surveilled the Trump campaign for political purposes, and if any such demands or requests were made by people within the Obama administration.
Earlier in the day, the president was at CIA headquarters for the swearing in of the first woman to head the agency, Gina Haspel.
I would not be standing before you today if not for the remarkable courage and dedication displayed by generations of OSS and agency women in roles both large and small, who challenged stereotypes, broke down barriers, and opened doors for the rest of us.
Wall Street put on a burst of speed today. Our Steve Kastenbaum tells us it's up over the 25,000 mark once again.
The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the trading day up 298 points, or 1.2%. Caterpillar and Boeing were among the stocks that led the charge. Investors were feeling confident again after Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin said a trade war with China would be put on hold for the time being because trade talks were making progress.
New threats from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. Correspondent Scott McLean is nearby.
If the lava isn't what's pushing people out of their homes, and it certainly is for some people, it might be the gas. Sulfur dioxide on parts of this island has tripled just in the last couple of days.
There were no classes at Santa Fe High School in Texas today, but there was a moment of silence outside the school so that members of the community could come together to recall the 8 students and 2 teachers who died in Friday's shooting. I'm Jan Johnson.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Could be some good news coming up this week for a couple of cities hoping to bring the Super Bowl back once again. Here's John Stolness.
ESPN is reporting that Arizona will be named as the host of the Super Bowl in 2023, while New Orleans will get the big game once again the following year. Owners will vote on the 2 hosts after hearing the final pitches from both cities at the league meetings in Atlanta this week. Arizona is the sole bidder for Super Bowl 57, and New Orleans is the sole bidder for Super Bowl 58. The NFL has a new process for picking host cities, hand-picking potential host sites, and negotiating directly with them. This would be Arizona's 4th time hosting a Super Bowl, while the Big Easy would set a new record, hosting for the 11th time. I'm John Stolness.
The SEC says the University of Florida is taking home honors for Baseball Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year, and Coach of the Year. The Gators are the #1 seed going into the SEC tournament that starts tomorrow. I'm Jan Johnson.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
I'm Jesse Picaholes with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic. I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're $3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns Butter Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Wisconsin Attorney General Brad Schimmel had planned to keep secret a trip he took last year that was funded by an organization that is listed as a hate group. The 5-day trip to a California resort, costing over $4,000, was paid for by the Alliance Defending Freedom. The Southern Poverty Law Center says the group has defended state-sanctioned sterilization of transgender people, supported criminalizing homosexuality, and defended legislation that would deny LGBT people goods and services on the basis of religion. Schimmel said the trip was none of the public's business. Outside today, rain likely, then a 60% chance of rain tonight, lows in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, clearing skies, highs in the low 60s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. I want to thank our most recent guest, a fine one indeed, Fred Royal, president of the NAACP Milwaukee branch, joined us here on Brady Street. If you missed that interview, where have you been? And you better look it up. It podcast every day at both the News Talk 1510 AM and also the Devil's Advocates websites. And Dom, sort of to stay with the theme, Donald Trump signs repeal of auto loan policy that targeted racial bias.
Of course he did.
According to Sylvan Lane at thehill.com, President Trump has repealed auto lending guidance from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, revoking a rule that was put in place to protect minority customers from predatory practices. Trump's signature on the congressional resolution erases the CFPB's 2013 guidance targeting dealer markups. The additional interest that is added to a customer's third-party auto loan is compensation for the dealer. So the dealer gets paid courtesy of the higher interest rate when the third party extends a loan. So effectively, the dealer gets a kickback against the interest rate, not just the profit on the sale of the automobile, Dom. The president signed the resolution in a private White House signing ceremony. Auto dealers, banks, and their allies in Congress said the CFPB policy was an unfair and unfounded attack on an essential and harmless financing tool. Well, might be essential to their profit.
Hell yeah.
And harmless to them, perhaps not to the consumer. The move caps off an unprecedented use of congressional power, as lawmakers had never before passed such a resolution to revoke informal guidance from a federal agency. Now, Dom, I'm going to jump down here to a quote. House Financial Services Committee Chairman Jeb Hanserling, a Republican from Texas, who attended the signing ceremony, praised the hard work of Republicans in Congress to stop a rogue bureau using its unchecked powers to sidestep due process and harm the very consumers it's charged with protecting.
The consumers being what, the dealers?
The CFPB policy seemed immune from repeal until last December, when the Government Accountability Office ruled that the informal agency guidance could be repealed under the review law as if it were a formal rule. Senator Pat Toomey, Republican from Pennsylvania, who requested the analysis, introduced a resolution to repeal auto lending guidance soon after. Acting CFP Director Mick Mulvaney In a statement, praised Trump and lawmakers for repealing the auto guidance and said the Bureau would consider submitting other similar policies for congressional review. The repeal of the guidance is the second Republican reversal of a key Cordray-era CFPB policy under the CRA. Trump signed a resolution last November that repealed the Bureau's role on forced arbitration issued in July of 2017. The rule had banned banks and credit card companies from forcing their customers into arbitration agreements that prevent those customers from joining class action lawsuits. Now, a ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court today on a 5-4 vote came to a very similar precedent, right?
Involving Wisconsin's own Epic Systems.
Yes. Forcing individual employees into an arbitration process, making them ineligible for class action lawsuits, the type that a lawyer might actually undertake. So good luck with that.
You brought it up. Let's get to it briefly. Mark Sherman, Associated Press, as reported in the Wisconsin State Journal. In a case involving Verona health software giant Epic Systems, the U.S. Supreme Court says employers can prohibit their workers from banding together to dispute their pay and conditions in the workplace, an important victory for business interests. The justices ruled 5-4 Monday, with the court's conservative members in the majority, that businesses can force employees to individually use arbitration, not the courts, to resolve disputes. The outcome does not affect people represented by labor unions, but an estimated 25 million employees work under contracts that prohibit collective action by employees who want to raise claims about some aspect of their employment. So then the question comes, Crudy, perhaps the employees at Epic Systems should unionize.
Well, it would be a fair ask. Judith Faulkner, a very wealthy but progressive lady. But yes, that would be the get around, quote unquote, would be the right to collectively bargain. But you wonder why the Koch brothers and the donor class ilk have accepted Donald Trump. It wasn't just the tax cuts, Tom. It's also lawsuits and Gorsuch on the Supreme Court and movements like this, which are clearly for the manufacturer, for the corporation over the workers.
Continuing, the employees include those at Epic Systems who brought the case. They sought to void those agreements and seek redress in the courts. The result could prompt a new round of lawsuits aimed at limiting class or collective action to raise allegations of racial discrimination. The Trump administration backed the businesses, reversing the position the Obama administration took in favor of employees. Caitlin Madden, one of the lawyers represented the class of Epic technical writers in the case, said that while she and other lawyers on the case were not necessarily surprised by the decision, it was disappointing to see the court, quote, siding with employers over workers, unquote. Madden said she is hoping that legislation that has been discussed recently will change federal law so that it would become easier for workers to opt out of arbitration agreements and make it easier to bring class actions to court. At this point, I think it can be accomplished, Madden said. In the meantime, she said the case will be sent back to U.S. District Court U.S. District Judge Barbara Crabb for rulings that are consistent with the Supreme Court's findings, but added that there are other defenses still available that could be pursued. Another avenue, she said, in the Epic case would be to individually arbitrate each of the claims brought against Epic by affected workers. Madden said she did not know how many affected workers there are, as the case hadn't progressed very far before landing in a federal court of appeals court. Epic had appealed the decision by Crabb not to dismiss the case over the individual arbitration requirement in workers' contracts. Jason Knudsen, who also represented Epic workers in the case, said that Epic could simply agree to stop using arbitration agreements, as some other companies have done. What a statement it would be for Epic to show that it does have its employees' interest in mind, Knudsen said. In a statement, Epic founder CEO Judy Faulkner praised the court's decision. So there you go.
You know, the problem with individual arbitration is in a class action lawsuit, one must assume you got capable representation, a lawyer. In an arbitration case where it's you against the employer, it has a bit of a chilling specter. You know, the employer knows it's just you against them.
Right.
And they
crush you.
probably have more resources, at least legal defenses. Now, still have to go through the same quote-unquote due process. But if they have capable representation and you lack therefore, well, it seems like they've stacked the deck against you.
Here's what Faulkner said. It is important that employers protect an employee's right to file complaints while also providing for a fair forum in which those grievances are addressed. When it comes to grievances regarding wages and hours, we believe individual arbitration agreements strike that reasonable balance and are pleased with the court's decision in support of this. The High Court's task was to reconcile federal laws that seem to point in different directions. On one hand, New Deal labor laws explicitly gave workers the right to band together. On the other, older Federal Arbitration Act encourages use of arbitration again instead of the courts. Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the majority, there you go, that's why they wanted him, right?
That's why they wanted Trump.
Said the contracts are valid under the arbitration law. Quote, as a matter of policy, these questions are surely debatable, but as a matter of law, the answer is clear, Gorsuch wrote. In dissent for the court's liberals, Justice Ruth Bader called the decision an egregiously wrong and likely to lead to huge under-enforcement of federal and state statutes designed to advance the well-being of vulnerable workers. Ginsburg said the individual complaints can be very small in dollar terms, scarcely of a size warranting the expense of seeking redress alone. Ginsburg read a summary of her dissent out loud. And finally, Crudy, the National Labor Relations Board, breaking with the administration, argued that contracts requiring employees to waive their rights to collective action conflict with labor laws. Business interests were united in favor of the contracts. Sticking it to the workers. Guess you got to unionize employees of Epic. And how
when that's feasible. Because let's not forget, in states like the state of Wisconsin, on the public sector side, we got Act 10. And we've got prisons with, 13% vacancies. Can't fill the positions. We're paying $42 million a year
the prison guards.
in overtime.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think that is? Well, if you can't unionize, if you can't collectively bargain,
why would you want that crappy job?
Why would you want that crappy job? I would point out, right to work state. Last time Scott Walker was running for re-election, didn't want it on his desk, his bureau, his ottoman. But of course, as soon as it hit his desk, he signed it. Although he went through the entire re-election cycle saying, not a priority, don't want to see it until I do, in which case I'll sign it and then go run for president on how tough I am on the unions. Because right to work even undermines the private sector unions. So when you look at the consequences, perhaps unintended or exactly as intended,
right.
It's not just about forcing employees to arbitration. That might be the win for Judith Faulkner and the Epic Corporation. But what it effectively does is it's one more attack on the working stiff. And at some point, this disparate society we have, where people like Scott Walker, who are basically bought and paid for by the corporate masters, continue to erode the protections of the working stiff, be it public sector, private sector. And now you got the courts undermining the arbitration process. What is left? What morsel of dignity do you leave the working stiff between Donald Trump and Scott Walker? I mean, at some point, don't these
what about
people...
Judy Faulkner? What about her role in this? You sit here and say she's a progressive. How is this a progressive act by the CEO of this corporation?
Well, Judith Faulkner, I do not know her thought process on collective bargaining more broadly. I know she defended her corporation against these class action lawsuits, and she was vindicated in the courts today. So I'm sure she's feeling pretty good.
Well, she's vindicated in the courts today because they didn't, the Obama didn't get his guy. Trump got his guy. So, I mean, I guess elections do matter. These things matter. But would she have been vindicated had it been not a Neil Gorsuch in that court?
Perhaps not. Merrick Garland may have had an entirely different reading, might have written differently for the majority today.
So does she get to lose her progressive card on this deal? I mean, at what point do you say...
That's your call, man.
I'm asking you. I say yes.
I've never met the woman. She's a billionaire. Doesn't hang out with me.
Yeah, well, isn't that really the case? It seems to be all the billionaire, the super rich. They got their own set of rules. They got their own way of doing business. They got their own ability to buy their courts and their justice and their senators and their congressmen. Well, we down here, we have to worry about arbitration. We don't get to use the courts. We don't have real redress.
Well, I don't fault her for the most capable defense that she, can buy through her vast wealth. I mean, she got a very capable defense, one must assume. She won. Now, it's the poor working stiffs, the individuals that don't have the right to collectively seek class action redress against the big employer, because I know that Epic employees get paid quite well, relatively speaking. But what if your employer just decides, you know what, I'm going to make you work overtime, I'm not going to pay any of you, and the difference is a couple bucks an hour. Y'all going to court individually for arbitration, or are you pretty much just going to lump it? Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates. 844-967-2789.
Probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for the American worker.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Businesses today thrive and survive with technology. At Five Nines, we provide businesses with the IT tools they need to stay relevant. We offer enterprise-level solutions at competitive prices. I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Let us manage your IT so you can focus on more important things, like running your business. Check us out at 5nines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean. Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk 1510 AM WRRD.
Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I'm spread way too thin. Everybody wants to know what's happening.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Phone lines open 844-967-2789. Let's get to them. Our pal Ignacio. Happy Monday, my friend. What do you got for us today?
Hey, Ignacio.
Good morning, gentlemen. Or good afternoon, whatever time it is. Hey, listen, here's the deal. I'm going to do some Trumpisms, which is, I guess, what Trump does, but I'm going to give you facts instead. And I got to set it up because what I'm about to say is probably going to be really way out there, just like Trump's really way out there, but I don't want you to cut me off. So let's set it up with the facts.
All right.
Facts. 99.99999 of all mass murderers and serial killers are white. That's an undisputed fact. So it's almost 100%, but 1/10% are not white. The next thing is the more people in America have been killed by white folks than any other race in the United States. That's a fact. Now, those two facts are facts. We can't dispute those. But what I'm about to say is, because serial killers and mass murderers are white people should not own guns. Okay? That's number one. Number two, because white people have killed more Americans, period, whether white, black, pink, or polka dotted, they've killed more Americans. Whenever they come out of prison, they should be sent to their ancestral home based on whatever percentage of, let's say they have more Italian blood than
Make them ancestry DNA and ship them off to Europe or wherever, Ignacio?
Ship 'em off. Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We should do that. You know why? This would end all the stupidity that we have in this country. People saying we should deport people back to home, whatever. Okay, fine. Let's do the same thing. If we're going to be fair, let's do it across the board. Because I've given you facts. More mass murderers and serial killers are white. That's just a fact. More white Americans have killed more Americans than any other race in this country. So there you go. Let's talk about
it. Thanks for the call, Ignacio. I think you're getting at the immigration issue, and it's certainly a sensitive one. And while I understand your reasoning perhaps to prove a point, I don't think that would be quite effective.
Ed Gein, a serial killer.
He's from Wisconsin.
As is Scott Walker.
As is Jeffrey Dahmer.
And Tom Wopat.
Who's that?
He's more of a serial groper. He's the former Duke boy that got caught up in the Me Too movement.
I used to babysit his kid.
What?
Also a white guy, probable serial killer, Fancy Brian.
Possible.
844-967-2789. But since Ignacio brought it up, let's talk a little bit about immigration. Apparently, some Americans were stopped in Montana. Can you believe that? Why? Well, they did the sin of speaking Spanish at a gas station. Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. 844-967-2789.
Finish him.
We need to let people know, you come into our schools, you're going to be dead.
Fatality.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The bridge is out, and there are scat holes everywhere. Come on. What's wrong with you? Listen to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Do, re, mi. The first three notes just happen to
Terrible.
So when need to pulling down.
I can see listeners dropping off. Let's get some callers before we lose everybody. Betsy from Madison, you're up. Thanks for calling.
That will bring us back to do.
Terrible.
Hey, at least we didn't do Edelweiss.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with a look at sports. The Brewers lost to the Twins yesterday, 3-1, but they did win the three-game series against Minnesota, as well as two previous series on this recent road trip. The team now comes back home to start a three-game series with the Diamondbacks tonight at Miller Park. Outside today, rain likely, then a 60% chance of rain tonight, lows in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, clearing skies, highs in the low 60s. And for Wednesday, mostly sunny with highs in the low 70s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The big and tall of political talk. Dom and Krutz are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Now, my little buddy Dom, not always great with analogies, but I got to tell you, it's Ignacio that's got me a little confused here. As a couple of white males, I mean, there's some mathematical, theoretical probability.
I mean, odds are we would be a mass murderer before Ignacio would be.
I would say it's probably 2-1. But Ignacio, you have helped us choose our next topic. Amy Wang at the Washington Post. 2 Americans were detained by Border Patrol agent after he heard them speaking Spanish.
No.
The American Civil Liberties Union said Monday it's looking into an incident in which a Border Patrol agent detained and questioned a woman and her friend, both U.S. citizens, when he overheard them speaking Spanish at a gas station in Montana. The incident occurred Wednesday morning at a convenience store in Harvey, Montana, a town in the northern part of the state near the border with Canada. Dom, even when we were nationally syndicated, no one ever called us from Montana.
Are you sure that's not Harv, Montana?
I'm like Favre. It's spelled like Favre. H-A-V-R-E, Montana. I'm pretty sure it's Harvey. Not entirely clear, but relatively clear. Anasuta and her friend Mimi Hernandez were making a midnight run to the store to pick up eggs and milk. Both are Mexican-American, speak fluent Spanish, and they had exchanged some words in Spanish while waiting in line to pay when a uniformed Border Patrol agent interrupted them, Suda said. We were just talking, and then I was going to pay, Suda told the Washington Post. I look up and saw the agent, and then after that, he just requested my ID. I looked at him like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, very serious. Suda said she felt uncomfortable and began recording the encounter with her cell phone after they had moved into the parking lot. In the video Suda recorded, she asked the agent why he is detaining them, and he says it's specifically because he heard them speaking Spanish.
Here is the sound from the Washington Post article. If you would cut one, please, Brian.
So can you tell us in the video, please, why you ask us for our IDs, please?
Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your IDs because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here.
Suda asks whether they are being racially profiled. The agent says no. It has nothing to do with that, the agent tells her. It's the fact that it has to do with you guys speaking Spanish in the store in a state where it's predominantly English speaking. What? Aren't most states predominantly English speaking? Suda, 37, was born in El Paso and raised across the border in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, but has spent much of her adult life moving around the United States with her husband and young daughter. Hernandez is originally from Central California, Suda said. Despite explaining to this agent and showing their IDs, Suda said he kept them in the parking lot for 35 to 40 minutes. Though no one raised their voices in the video, Suda said she and Hernandez were left shaken and upset by the encounter, which ended around 1 a.m. Here's a quote. I was so embarrassed being outside the gas station and everyone's looking at you like you're doing something wrong. I don't think speaking Spanish is something criminal, you know, Suda said. My friend, she started crying. She didn't stop crying in the truck, and I told her we are not doing anything wrong. When she got home, Suda posted on Facebook about what had taken place at the gas station. She said her shock began to give way to sadness in the following days after some local news outlets reported the incident, and her 7-year-old daughter asked whether the video meant she could no longer speak Spanish in public. Here's what Suda said. She speaks Spanish and she speaks English. When she saw the video, she was like, Mom, we can't speak Spanish anymore? I said, no, you be proud. You're smart. You speak 2 languages. This is more for her. A representative from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection told the Post the agency is reviewing the incident to ensure all appropriate policies were followed. Border agents are trained to decide to question individuals based on a variety of factors, the agency added. And here's a quote from the agency, Crudy. U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents and officers are committed to treating everyone with professionalism, dignity, and respect while enforcing the laws of the United States. Although most Border Patrol work is conducted in the immediate border area, agents have broad enforcement authorities and are not limited to a specific geography within the United States. They have the authority to question individuals, make arrests, and take and consider evidence.
Well, of course they do, Dom. Right here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, we got a Sheriff Severson trying to push his agents to be, deputized 287 G agents, Dom. Agents of ICE.
Are you freaking kidding me? The town, Havre is a rural town with a population of about 10,000, 35 miles south of the U.S.-Canada border. Border Patrol agents have broad authority to operate within 100 miles of any U.S. border, though they cannot initiate stops without reasonable suspicion of an immigration violation or crime. I wonder what the reasonable suspicion of this... Oh, that's right, they were speaking Spanish.
As all the Canadians do.
Suda said she is used to seeing Border Patrol agents in Havre, but because it's so close to Canada, especially gas stations, but had never been stopped before. We have some sound, cut 2, of Suda speaking about this incident and her experience in Montana, cut 2.
My family was asking me, because my family is in Texas, and they were asking me, how is in Montana about this? I say, never have a problem before. I say, Montana is perfect, because I love the people here. The people is so nice. It's nicer than another states. And I can't believe this happened.
I can absolutely believe this happened. This is an embarrassment, but this is how it is now in Trump's America. So you're what? The condition, the reason for demanding ID. Let me see your papers. It sounds very, 1940s Germany. What, because I'm speaking Spanish? You don't think any Americans speak Spanish? That is your only indicator of some immigration crime being committed? This is an embarrassment. This is a joke. That dude should be fired.
Sure. And it happens to black people right here in Milwaukee every day. And they don't even have to speak Spanish. They just have to drive while black. I mean, while I certainly find this to be a troubling circumstance, I think if, and correct me if I'm wrong, anyone out there in the audience, African-American or otherwise, but there's all sorts of stops without probable cause that happen all across our nation, and right here in right here in Milwaukee, I would say happens every day.
We just
stop and frisk.
They just paid out some lawsuits on stop and frisk.
We got $22 million worth of police-inspired lawsuits right here in Milwaukee. They budgeted like $1.2 million. They're only $21 million over their annual budget for police officers that did something that was either unconstitutional or without due cause. It happens all the frickin' time. Here's what the ACLU said on Monday. Speaking Spanish is not a valid reason for a Border Patrol agent to question or detain someone. Here's a quote. Astrid Dominguez, director of the ACLU's Border Rights Center. They're citizens whose first language isn't English or who are limited in English, and that doesn't mean they're committing an immigration offense. The Constitution prohibits racial profiling. You need to have a reasonable suspicion of an offense before detaining someone, and speaking Spanish isn't one of them. Dominguez said this was the first incidents she had heard of that involved someone being stopped and questioned for speaking Spanish, and that the civil rights organization would be speaking with Suda about next steps. Here's one more quote from Dominguez. The broader picture goes back to accountability at the agency. If this was the way they were targeting people, it's an issue, and it needs to be addressed.
Let's play cut one again, will you please?
So can you tell us in the video, please, why you ask us for our IDs, please?
Ma'am, the reason I asked you for your ID is because I came in here and I saw that you guys are speaking Spanish, which is very unheard of up here.
So don't speak Spanish in Montana, and you won't have to give the man your license. 844-967-2789. Let's get some callers in before the break. Mark, you are up. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
This story, another one, just blows me away. For God's sake, I hear people speaking Spanish all the time here, and at the grocery store and at the St. Vinny de Paul's, and that there's immigrants here. I mean, they're speaking a language that's spoken by a hell of a lot of people in this hemisphere. I mean, how that can possibly be justifiable for this guy to do it. I mean, I don't know. This guy's must not have his quota filled or something like that. That he figures he needs to be shaking down a couple of women at midnight at a grocery store.
Well, right, Mark. I mean, the speaking Spanish thing, it sounds like the guy from New York. What was his name? Aaron Schlossberg or something like that? The guy that everybody made fun of because he freaked out in a deli because there were people speaking Spanish. Hey, this is America. Well, maybe he can get a job at ICE.
It's just ridiculous. I mean but I mean Trump is probably going to be giving this guy some kind of award. I mean it just blows me away. I mean here and these women were probably justifiably shaken up by this whole thing here because here they're late, they ran out for milk and eggs, and the kids and the families at home waiting for them, and that they got delayed like probably an hour.
Yeah, like 30, 40 minutes, yeah.
Well, Mark, I guess the only point I make, and I don't want to be the guy making the bad analogies today, but every time somebody goes and gets pulled over while driving while black, or shopping while black, or barbecuing while black, I mean, where's the probable cause there? It's happening all across America. It's not just a racial component targeted to those that would speak Spanish. I mean, it happens on the streets of Milwaukee. And the cops, they do so with impunity, as near as I can tell.
Not really impunity. They get away with it for a while, and they get sued, and then we as taxpayers have to bail them out to the tune of how much?
$22 million this year and counting.
And how much is budgeted for this?
Like $1.2 million.
Yeah, so there you go, Mark. Our tax dollars hard at work.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Your contributions always welcome here via phone, text, Twitter, at Devil Radio. The phone number, 844-967-2789.
You do stop and frisk, which worked very well. Mayor Giuliani is here. It worked very well in New York.
I'm not an expert on the facts yet. I'm getting there.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
bring it? Oh, it's already been brought in. Dom and Krutz are the devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming on YouTube and Facebook. We're on Twitter at Devil Radio, and the party line to talk or text 844-967-2789.
Dominic got one more headline I'd like to throw out there, then we'll get to the phones. GOP lawmaker, singular, introduces bill to crowdfund that border wall. I think this is a stellar idea, Dom. Rep. Diane Black, Republican from Tennessee, and I guarantee she ain't black, has introduced legislation that would create a border wall trust fund, allowing people to donate money towards President Trump's border wall. The Border Wall Trust Fund Act would allow the Secretary of the Treasury to accept public donations to fund the construction of a barrier on the border between the United States and Mexico, and for other purposes. Appearing on Fox News on Monday afternoon, Black said the bill would allow those who really want to see a secure border to donate to a trust to raise money for the security measure. Fox's Harris Faulkner asked, what happened to Mexico paying for it? Here's what Black said in response. I would like for Mexico to pay for that, and I'm not close enough to the administration to see what kind of pressure they're putting on them. Black said that since she announced the legislation, she's received a lot of positive responses from Americans who've told her they'd be willing to help fund the wall if the bill is passed. Black said she and her husband would be the first to donate.
Is it tax deductible?
Black, a member of the House Budget Committee, also added that the president has built his case, and hopefully in the future funding, there will be more funding for the wall. But why not have multiple sources so we can have that wall done faster?
We only need one source.
Build that wall.
The Mexicans are going to pay for it.
I don't think they're going to.
I heard the president. You call him Trump a lot. Forget it. 844-967-2789. Wisco Paul. Happy Monday, man. Welcome back to the show. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call today. If Scott Hole would have been president, we'd have a northern wall, and heaven forbid if you were to speak French.
Right.
But, yeah. So,
Je ne sais pas.
I still can't believe a northern wall. Anyway, you should stop anyone for the language they speak, for God's sake. And what in the hell are we going to do for workers in this country? You guys have a great day.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's some strange times indeed. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir, Croûté?
No. Perhaps a jobs project, filling the Scott holes.
I saw a number for the lead laterals here in Milwaukee, $750 million that would take to replace. Now, seems like a lot of money until you consider how much money we're giving to Foxconn.
Well, and Scott Walker gave a $122 million breeder bribe, and Scott Walker gave a $150 million sales tax holiday for like a week in August.
Well, and then let's not forget the manufacturers and agricultural tax credit.
Well, that's $350 million per year, Dom. You damn near got your wall. The
ladder. We could have replaced with the money that we've already spent, quote unquote, not collected in tax revenue from those organizations, which of course we don't get that benefit because we're not ag or we're not manufacturers. But they get to, not pay taxes. But if they would have paid the same taxes as you or I or anybody else out there, we'd have had that money to fix already the lead problems here in the city of Milwaukee, which rivals Flint.
Dominic, someone just texted us. So they're essentially setting up a GoFundMe account for the wall?
Yes.
Laugh out loud, pathetic. Yes, that's exactly what the Trump administration is doing.
Thinking outside of the box.
Other people's money.
That's the best kind.
Perhaps, Trump could just license the use of his name on the side of the wall.
Well, then we'd have to pay Trump, though. Those people in the GoFundMe. Maybe he should start a GoFundMe for his licensing of the wall.
Yeah.
Huh? See how that works?
The northern wall or the southern wall?
Both. Didn't I see something, an article, the RNC is footing the bill for
$500,000 for whole picks and other aids legal defense in the Russian probe?
Now, if the RNC is given money for the legal defense and the NRA gives money to the NRC and the Russians give money to the NRA, if we take away the NRA and the RNC, aren't the Russians essentially financing Trump's staff defense attorneys?
Well, if it's not the Russians, Dom, it's the Qataris. Or perhaps it's the Israelis. I mean, Trump's organization, we now know from the reporting, did not confine its collusion to simply the Russians,
Well,
Dom.
no, of course not.
There are other foreign powers involved. Or at least that's what's being reported at thevox.com. I'm just going to read the headline. We're going to run out of time for this one. We got to find guests coming in the 5 o'clock hour. Terrance Warthen, Our Wisconsin Revolution. According to a report from the New York Times, the president's eldest son, Fredo Jr., and other aides met with an emissary of the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, who said the country's leaders wanted to help Donald Trump win. Russia isn't the only country Donald Trump Jr. was open to meeting with about getting a boost for his father's presidential campaign. According to a report from the New York Times on Saturday, the president's son also met with an Israeli social media specialist and an emissary of the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, who said the countries want to help Trump win. On August 3rd of 2016, Trump Jr. took part in a meeting with Eric Prince, the Blackwater guy.
Oh, Betsy DeVos's brother.
That guy, a Trump booster, founder of the private security firm Blackwater, and brother of Education Secretary Betsy DeVos. George Nader, a business executive and emissary of the princes of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, and Joel Zamel, an Israeli expert in social media manipulation. Well, Dom, why only collude with the Russians when there's so many willing foreign powers that one could collude with? The only sort of foreigners that apparently the Trumps like?
The ones that pay them.
Or the ones that have dirt on Hillary Clinton.
Or say they do.
As long as they're not speaking Spanish. You know how confused Trump Jr. would get.
See.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. This is Resistance Radio, WRRD 1510 AM, Waukesha, Milwaukee, WTTN, Columbus, Madison. Come back with us. Terrance Warthen, Our Wisconsin Revolution. They're the good guys, just like us. We'll be right back.
We have to close down our government. We're building that wall. Don't even think about it.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here.
Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The president's demand calls for tougher gun control. I'm Ann Cates. The Justice Department will expand its probe to see whether a spy infiltrated the Trump campaign after top intelligence officials sat down with the president.
The president was scheduled to meet with Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and FBI Director Christopher Wray here at the White House anyway. However, the meeting backdrop was Mr. Trump's Sunday tweet about demanding the Justice Department look into whether an informant was deliberately sent to spy on his campaign. Top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, Adam Schiff.
I've seen no evidence of a political spy embedded in the Trump campaign. I think that's complete nonsense.
But Schiff's counterpart, Committee Chair Devin Nunes, who issued a GOP report concluding there was nothing to the Russia probe, even got a shout-out from the president during a CIA swear-in ceremony.
And a very courageous man. It's courageous. Congressman Devin Nunes.
Bob Costantini, the White House.
Students will return to Santa Fe High School next Tuesday after 10 people were killed during a shooting massacre. And teenagers in Texas are calling for stricter gun control. Correspondent Omar Jimenez.
Students, fed up with the violence, staged what they called a die-in, lying outside the governor's mansion in Austin in protest.
We will speak and occupy and yell and lie down and sit and stand to make sure that common sense gun laws are enacted.
On Monday, a moment of silence. Students across the state stood in class, while people at Santa Fe High School stood and prayed. No matter the method, it's all to remember the 8 students and 2 teachers killed.
Parts of Hawaii's Big Island continue to be ravaged. Correspondent Scott McLean.
For people who live here, of course, many of them are still out of their homes because they simply cannot go back because of the fear of lava that continues to bubble up really rapidly and unexpectedly in some places.
On Wall Street, the Dow rose 298 points, the S&P gained 20, the Nasdaq closed up 40. I'm Ann Cates.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
A lawsuit has been slapped against USA Swimming today.
Ariana Cooker-Smith says the sport's governing body knew her former coach sexually abused her when she was a minor and then covered it up. The lawsuit was filed in Orange County, California, and accuses Sean Hutchison of grooming her for sexual abuse starting when she was 13, then touching and kissing her when she was 16, and engaging in sexual activity when she was 17. Cooker-Smith participated in the 2012 Olympics. She's also suing longtime Olympic coach Mark Schubert, saying he failed to report a reasonable suspicion of child abuse or endangerment. Hutchison has denied the allegations and has not been charged with a crime. I'm John Stolnis.
Interview Magazine, the fabled publication originally founded by Andy Warhol in 1969, is closing up shop. Staffers were told at an all-hands meeting today that Interview Magazine is filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I'm Ann Cates.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You've messed up your daughter's haircut. Do you A, get spiritual?
Mom, where's the mirror?
Beauty is within.
Oh.
B, find the positives.
Less time blow drying, more time texting?
Or C, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have to.
Twinsies.
I kinda love it. You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on adoption, visit adoptuskids.org. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. A good friend of ours, a fine sponsor. He's Lenny Mattioli. He's crazy e-bike Lenny, and he's always selling e-bikes. Lenny, welcome back to the show, man. I got to tell you, I've been missing your ads on the radio. What happened, Lenny?
Any potential advertisers that were considering using Devil's Advocate, listen to this. We ran an ad 10 days. We sold every one. Every single one.
The Devil's Advocates.
Merchandising! Every single one.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Former Sheriff David Clark, acting Sheriff Richard Schmidt, and Milwaukee County are being sued by the mother of Michael Madden, who died in October of 2016 while being held in the Milwaukee County Jail. The 29-year-old man from Franklin was one of 4 people to die at the Milwaukee County Jail in 2016. Candidate for Milwaukee County Sheriff Ernell Lucas said in a statement to WRRD, quote, "I grieve this mother's loss of her son. The systemic problems of inhumane treatment in the Milwaukee County Jail will only change with new leadership," end quote. Lucas added, as sheriff, he will create a culture in the sheriff's office that will value human life. Outside today, rain likely, then a 60% chance of rain tonight, lows in the upper 40s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we're sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour, and we're happy to welcome back a fine guest live via phone. He is Terrance Warthen, our Wisconsin Revolution. Terrance, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Hey, thanks you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Terrance, we appreciate you joining us on something of a short ask. I got to tell you, I'm slightly disappointed you're not here on Brady Street with us, but you're not here because something else big is going on today, and it involves Foxconn. Where are you right now, Terrance, or where are you going to be at 6?
I'm on the road right now. I'm in Kenosha, heading towards Racine County. There's an event tonight at the Mount Pleasant Village Hall, and residents of Mount Pleasant, who certainly had to deal with a lot concerning Foxconn the past few months, are going to finally get to hear from their city government, Department of Transportation, and get some answers as to current plans, schedules, and how it's going to have an effect in the community. So that's where I'm headed.
And Terrance, what's our Wisconsin Revolution's role in this town hall tonight?
For us, we have a chapter in Mount Pleasant that we're just getting started. We partner with a lot of groups in the area. So our role tonight is essentially we're one of many groups that are going to be visible tonight, along with another group of candidates that are running in southeastern Wisconsin, which would be for state assembly, for state senate, and we're just going to join our members in having our voices heard.
Well, Terrance, let's talk about an article that my buddy Dom found at Politico. The headline on the article, I think a bit of a misnomer, but you tell me. It says, Bernie's army in disarray. The Sanders-inspired grassroots group Our Revolution is flailing. An extensive review by Politico shows fueling concerns about a potential 2020 bid. First and foremost, Terrance, please clarify, Our Wisconsin Revolution is associated with Our Revolution, but they're not exactly the same organization, are they?
Our Wisconsin Revolution is one of 4 state organizing committees across the country, which are subsidiaries of Our Revolution. So what that means is basically this. Our Revolution consists of hundreds of independent chapters across the country. 4 of those states have organized all of their chapters into somewhat autonomous, but still following under the brand of OR and under OR's, umbrella to form independent state organizing committees. That's Wisconsin, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Texas. So I found the article to be a little disingenuous. It didn't really lay out the structure of the organization. There were 2 places where it referred to Georgia or Nebraska as if they were cohesive state organizations making single decisions, and that's not the case. So you're looking at hundreds of groups across the country operating somewhat autonomously in their own areas, and they're casting aspersions there as if it's all being directed nefariously from above by their national leadership, and that's not true or even really possible.
And Terrance, right here in the state of Wisconsin, every time I talk to you, you talk about the rapid growth of this organization. My understanding, you've got chapters right here in the state of Wisconsin, all across the state of Our Wisconsin Revolution.
That's true. We have 26 chapters across the state. We have our state convention coming up in Kenosha, at the UW Parkside, the weekend of June 22nd through June 24th. So we have new chapters forming. Our membership is growing. We're easily accessible, pretty affordable. I mean, our dues are only $2 a month at the minimum. You can certainly pay more if you wish. But no, for us, we're seeing some consistent growth. We have a lot of members that are running for office, and we partner with a lot of organizations as well. We have voter registration activities with the ACLU. We work with indivisible groups. We work with, progressive Dems. We work with really anyone that shares our values. And that's part of our mantra, is that most of Wisconsin needs somewhere to go for some pragmatism and common sense, even on the progressive side of things.
And Terrance, broadly, if this political article has a criticism of the Our Revolution group, it's that Sanders, or at least the Sanders-inspired group, has been inconsistent. They haven't supported or endorsed some moderate Democrats. This is not a branch of the Democratic Army or the Democratic Party, seemingly, is the criticism. How do you answer to that criticism on behalf of at least the Wisconsin group, Our Wisconsin Revolution, Terrance?
Right. Well, I can't answer for national. National has to speak for itself. First of all, when you're taking this kind of criticism, it tells me that you're doing a good job, because people are at least worried about what you're doing. And you're right. We're not the Democratic Party. We're not the Republican Party. We're not conservative. We're not neoliberal. We don't take corporate money. And anytime you're in that position, you're going to take a lot of criticism, which is fine. Our endorsement process for Our Wisconsin Revolution is completely democratic. It's decided on by our members, and the members in the jurisdiction that's going to be represented. So, for example, the special election in the 42nd, we endorsed in that race. That decision was made by our members that live in the 42nd district. We don't influence that at the state level. And we also do something that the article criticized, and again, I can't speak to what other states or other chapters across the country do, but when we're engaged in a race about an endorsement, we offer the opportunity for consideration to every single person in that race. So if you're running and one candidate requests to enter the endorsement process, all candidates in that race are then granted equal time in the endorsement process. So there's no picking favorites, and that doesn't mean that we always end up with the endorsement that the state loves, but it's what the people in those communities choose, and that's what matters.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Terrance Warthen with Our Wisconsin Revolution joins us on the phone. Terrance, you mentioned the special elections in the 42nd. Who has the Our Wisconsin Revolution endorsed in those races?
Oh, gosh, let me see. That would be in the 42nd.
Ann Groves Lloyd, perhaps?
Thanks for the save, Mike.
Okay.
That's Ann Lloyd in the 42nd. Sorry, I'm driving. There's an accident ahead. And,
no, yeah, stay on the road, Terrance. I want to get your opinion. The article brought up some points about the national leadership, and I just want to get your opinion. I know you're unaffiliated and you have your own thing here in Wisconsin, but Nina Turner is brought up. I want to get your take. How do you think she's doing as the lead of the national movement?
I think Senator Turner's doing a fine job. And again, we are affiliated with OR. I don't want to make it sound like we're not affiliated.
Okay.
We are. We fall under their umbrella. But again, that criticism is, I believe, misplaced. I think they're looking for a handful of opportunities to take shots at people. We're in that situation where, again, we fall outside of the major parties. We're a threat to status quo for them. I mean, if the Democratic Party wants to talk about something in terms of transparency, they can talk about the balloting around their former leader, Ms. Wasserman Schultz. That's not our game. I'm not going to get into the mud with them. We're worried about getting people out to vote, encouraging good people to run for office, getting Wisconsinites united behind progressive candidates, and pushing our values forward. But you're going to take those shots. I take those same shots from time to time. We're not popular with either party at times, and that's fine. I'd be more worried if nobody cared what we were doing.
Right. Terrance, I appreciate what you are doing at Our Wisconsin Revolution. If people want to get more involved, if people want to join your organization and have a voice in that movement, how would they go about doing so?
You can visit the website at ourwisconsinrev.com. You can sign up, again, for our mailing list, and to be a voting member, the minimum is $2 a month or $24 a year. You can also visit us on our Facebook page, and there is a link where you can sign up from there as well. Or, while you're on the website, the best thing you could do is look at our statewide map, find a chapter near you, find the link, get in touch with them, and actually get active.
Excellent. And Terrance, one last thing before we let you go. You're going to a Foxconn Town Hall this evening. Where is it, and how can people join you there?
It is at the Mount Pleasant Village Hall. It's going to begin at 6:30. I'm sorry, 6 o'clock. Google that, Mount Pleasant Village Hall. You can't miss us. It's going to be a packed parking lot. I would suggest getting there early because it's certainly a topic that a lot of people have a lot of skin in the game on in Wisconsin. But again, we have a chapter that's going to be sitting right there. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be in that local government's face the entire time.
Terrance Warthen, Our Wisconsin Revolution. That's a topic we're going to tackle next. Thank you so much for your time today. Good luck tonight.
All right, thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. We are the Devil's Advocates. This is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Your calls on a Foxconn conversation coming up next, 844-967-2789.
Foxconn, el mejor trato en la historia de Estados Unidos.
Sonic Boom.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Hi, I'm Todd Stryker, President and CEO of Five Nines. Have you got your head in the clouds on how to manage IT for your enterprise? We can make your dreams a reality. With our enterprise cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting, we'll manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Consider Five Nines your personal enterprise IT solution. Enjoy technology. For more information, visit fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
5/9, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling devil's advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. I want to thank our last guest, Terrance Warthen from our Wisconsin Revolution. If you're looking to get involved, looking for something to do, it's cheap. You can join $2 a month, $24 a year. Our Wisconsin Revolution. Check them out online. Terrance heading down to the Foxconn Town Hall tonight. The phone calls, 844-967-2789. Let's get to them. Joe from Tucson, you are next. Thanks for calling, Joe. What do you got for us today?
Hey, man, that was a great interview before. And I just, this is why I love your radio show, is because you guys are drawing a distinction between what the DNC will offer up and the thing that tanked your candidacy, and versus what Terrance was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what we didn't get into, I'm sure Terrance wasn't asked, what is their platform? Because that's what is the connective thread that weaves through this whole thing that hasn't been put to rest by the DNC. Your commercial by Tom Perez, my God, I need a hurl bucket every time I hear that guy's voice. He's a massive loss engineer. That style of politics is dead. It's just walking like a zombie. Terrance is part of the fresh. He's part of the $15 an hour.
Yeah.
I'll bet. Tied to inflation. He is taking our universities back from Wall Street. He is for Medicare for all, I'm sure. And when we go with this DNC model, I want everybody in Wisconsin listen to what I'm saying. I live in Arizona now. I'm from Wisconsin. But what's been happening here is the DNC they think this place is just so forgotten that Republicans got this game sewn up here. We can't beat them. We can't outsmart these, just weirdo crazies with good policies. I'm 52 years old. It's been 52 years since the Democrats have won at the state level in the House of Representatives.
Wow.
This is a joke. And so when we don't make the distinctions of what that man Terrance was standing up for, and we're waiting for the perfect pie in the sky because Tom Perez and part of that scandalous crew of criminality said that they can, over cigars, get back in these smoke-filled rooms, pick the candidates because they know better. Tell that to Barack Obama, who lost 1,000 democratically held seats. They claim to, understand Republicans and their grasp of, the capitalism mantle that they run away with in a fraudulent manner. They never actually have to do political, economic accounting for themselves if they're such, in touch with political capital and the value of it. Nancy Pelosi is horrible. She has made $100 million during Barack Obama's presidency. Anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's a criminal right there. That's somebody who's not speaking up for what Terrance, your last interview, that's where the action's at. That's where the life is at. The DNC, they got taken private by Hillary Clinton, and she can keep talking. I'm always worried about you guys running with the resistance thing, because that's code language for status quo politics.
What? Hang on.
Hey, Joe.
You're going to have to explain that. Wait. How is our resistance status quo politics, man?
Because it's like the ALS bucket challenge, the ice bucket challenge. Dump it over your head and we'll be okay. We're going to cure ALS. But you know what? It's the unexamined Democrat right now that is the problem. We like to take all the, we're the party of higher education. We're the party of understanding science and, the earth and space and all that. But yet, we are the party that says, guess what? I hope you like being a half Republican. I hope you're happy with that, because that's what the DNC is telling you got to do. They're pushing this is a center-right country. That's bull. It's crap. It's just we don't have representation. Guys like Terrance are changing that. I think the thing that tanked your very candidacy, Mike, was the DNC and the resistance. So pardon me. Go ahead and kick my boots.
I would say I tanked it, Joe, but I was closer to it than you, perhaps, sir.
Hey, Joe, appreciate your. Let me ask you this: is there an Our Revolution chapter in Arizona? Are you involved? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
There is, and there's also Wolfpack, which is Get Money Out, and that's part of the Justice Democrats, who are more aligned with, the last group. So there is way more life going on out there. It just comes at $27 for a campaign donation. The DNC, which is signed on, the DCCC has signed on with the Blue Dog Democrats in terms of figuring out strategy. So if we think that we're going to be, pushing resistance, I hope you're prepared to ride in a Republican car, because that's what they're telling you as they look into their crystal ball into the future. That's the future that they're telling you. It ain't like that. It's different. This is leftover hangover cancer from the Occupy movement. They can't conveniently stuff this genie back in the bottle. This thing's out.
Hey, Occupy didn't start on Wall Street.
Started on our street.
Joe, thank you for your call. Be like Joe. Join the Devil's Advocates live via phone, 844-967-2789.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a load of money.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, everybody. Did you know that Scott Walker spelled backwards is Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network? I know, I was amazed too.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
First step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise, something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on, and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Several artists groups from the River West neighborhood are hoping to renovate and reopen the Grand Theater, located in the 2900 block of North Holton Avenue. A new proposal would use $2 million to restore the 107-year-old theater. The space could be used for live performances, weddings, and other events. The proposal will be reviewed by the Milwaukee Common Council's Zoning, Neighborhoods, and Development Committee tomorrow. Outside today, rain likely, then a 60% chance of rain tonight, lows in the upper 40s. Tomorrow, clearing skies, highs in the low 60s. And for Wednesday, mostly sunny with highs in the low 70s. You're listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Occupy didn't start on Wall Street. It started on our street. Tom and Krutz, the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Going to the Daily Beast. I'm going to keep my eye on the... You keep your eye on the TV. I hear a handsome fellow coming up next on the Fox 6 News. Of course, I speak of myself. I did a little interview earlier today. Michael Tomasky at the Daily Beast. The Democrats need to get much tougher on these Trump scandals or they will lose the midterms.
Much tougher.
Goes along with Joe in Tucson's thought. And I am not part of the establishment. I guarantee you that, Joe. But let me read. Okay, Democrats, it's time. Sunday afternoon, 1:37 p.m., the President of the United States tweeted that he's ordering an investigation of the investigation into him. His campaign, okay, but him. Think about that. Imagine that Hillary Clinton was president and Republicans were investigating the Clinton Foundation, and she ordered an investigation into that investigation, charging, based on no evidence whatsoever, that the FBI had improperly infiltrated the foundation. And no, this professor is not proof of infiltration. And anyway, if the FBI has credible reason to believe a crime may have been committed, isn't infiltration of the enterprise suspected of criminality their job? Or imagine that Barack Obama had ordered an investigation into any of the various investigations of the Benghazi consular attack. Oh yeah, there's the handsome guy. Me and Tony Evers going jaw to jaw. Oh, and there's a picture of me throwing the horns. It does get a little heated. He is a good-looking guy. Former candidate for governor. Can't I just be radio super cool guy? Anyways, we'll bring you that story tomorrow on the big show. Back to this one. Or imagine that Barack Obama had ordered an investigation into any of the various investigations of the Benghazi consular attack, or for that matter, that George W. Bush had ordered an investigation into the Valerie Plame outing. In any of those cases, Washington would have exploded. But now this president, who it is documented has spent 40 years lying to and defrauding people in business, and who lies nearly every time he speaks, and his apologists have so corrupted our system that some people are discussing Trump's move as if it's legitimate. Just another interesting twist and turn in Donald Trump's Washington. Ha ha! No, it's not. It's a scandal. It's the biggest sign yet that Trump knows and respects no law and will use every tool he can to thwart an investigation that is obviously legitimate. We learned over the weekend from the Times that Russia may not be the half of it. A Gulf emissary reportedly offered to help Trump win the election. Again, the August 2016 meeting involving Trump Jr., Eric Prince, and people from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Israel. It's not denied by Trump spokespeople. No, so far is the fact that Donald Trump Jr. responded approvingly to their offers of help. Boom! That alone is collusion and is illegal. Even as Steve Bannon knows, if you're part of a presidential campaign, you call the FBI the moment you even receive such an offer.
Keep going.
Okay. With each revelation, Trump becomes more unhinged and more accusatory and thinks up new ways to try and discredit the FBI and the entire principle of independent investigations of the executive branch. He and his campaign almost certainly cheated. And all he does, this is the president of the United States, is lie and turn the tables, trying to delegitimize the entire Department of Justice.
I'll take it from here, Crudy. Democrats, what say you? I looked Monday morning at Chuck Schumer's Twitter feed. He retweeted a couple tweets from his Senate colleague, Mark Warner, about Republicans in Congress who are trying to obstruct Special Counsel Mueller's investigation and could be coming close to crossing the legal line. But nothing about Trump. Nancy Pelosi sent out one tweet criticizing Trump's Sunday afternoon tweet. Warner, who is the leading Democrat on the Senate Intel Committee, wrote a few tweets less about Trump than about Congress. His counterpart, Adam Schiff, was more direct. Here's Schiff. Trump's claim of an embedded spy is nonsense. His demand DOJ investigate something they know to be untrue is an abuse of power and an effort to distract from his growing legal problems. Never mind that DOJ has warned that lives and alliances are at risk. He doesn't care. Now back to the Daily Beast piece. This is all okay as far as it goes, but the country needs more from them. Lately, there's been some chatter about whether Democrats want to talk about Trump heading into the midterms. My colleagues Sam Stein and Gideon Resnick reported that congressional Democrats were refusing to go on cable shows because they want to talk about prescription drug prices, but cable wants to talk about Trump. Then I reported that 4 leading Democratic presidential hopefuls seemed to go out of their way at a major liberal conference to avoid mentioning the president. This is a guaranteed losing strategy. Candidates campaigning in districts can talk about prescription drugs and all matters they want. This will happen well below the radar of cable news shows, but voters will hear them. Meanwhile, the National Party has to talk about Trump. If a narrative develops between now and November that the Democrats want to be careful about how they speak of Trump, core Democratic voters will be demoralized and disgusted. I can hear the answer back. We're letting Mueller take care of that. If and when he issues a report before Election Day, we'll pounce. It's too cautious. It depends on the actions of someone else. It's not enough. I'm sure they'd also say we don't want to get sucked into the impeachment trap. Seems like we're too eager to impeach Trump, but that's easily enough avoided. All they need to say is we'll follow the evidence and see where it leads. But the point they need to emphasize is that unlike the Republicans, they'll look for the evidence. They'll look into the Trump Hotel. They'll haul Scott Pruitt and Ryan Zinke and Ben Carson up before Congress to explain things. They'll focus on what's been happening at the Veterans Administration. They'll investigate policies and outcomes from the environment to the tax bill. Oversight can be substantive too, and thus seen as not just political. They'll investigate this Jakarta thing, which has barely been discussed in the media, but which alone would have floored the city in normal times. And yes, they'll investigate the campaign. The president is lawless. His lawyer is lawless. Both of his lawyers. All they know is to lie, deny, distort, extort, and bully. The country is being governed by mafioso values. If the Democrats are unwilling to say that, they'll let down millions of Americans who are counting on them to defend the law, and they'll lose, and they'll deserve to. History sometimes presents moments when caution is called for. This isn't one of them.
Michael Tomasky at the Daily Beast. Dom.
Yeah?
When have we ever been cautious about a damn thing? Caution is not in our...
Caution is not my middle name? Danger is my middle name.
I thought Carlos was... Oh, Dominic Carlos Danger?
That's me.
Come back with us. We are the Devil's Advocates. I'm Crudy. That's Carlos Danger. We are never cautious. We throw caution to the wind each weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. That's why you love us so. And you join us on the phones with your own good takes at 844-967-2789.
You have the Democrats on the other side who truly have become obstructionists.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. It's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the Grads of Life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com. I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Tweens have mastered the art of tuning out. Jen, there's a spider in the car. We're turning your room into a home gym. See? Nothing. But some messages need to get through. Like making sure they're buckled up the whole ride, every time. Do whatever it takes to make your child listen. Jen, I friended your boyfriend.
Wait, what?
Buckle up, sweetie.
Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Kicking ass and taking names since the Wisconsin Uprising. Dom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day, I think. If you got something to say, now is the time, a little early. 844-967-2789.
Apparently, I was featured on the Fox 6 News this afternoon.
Here in Milwaukee.
And all indications are I'm still not a big fan of Tony Evers.
Well, we'll have to tune in and find out.
That dimpled, handsome young guy in the red Badger hat didn't have much good to say about Tony.
Aw, come on, Crew. You're a lover, not a fighter. Usually. Who am I kidding? 844-967-2789. Let's get to some callers. Pizza the Box, you are up. What's up, Mike? How you doing, man?
Hey, Michael.
Well, I'm not going to go down that two-party road because I took a fork, and that's in a different direction than both of them. But you listen, the Foxconn thing, well, first of all, in order to win this battle we're getting into right now, if people aren't connected yet, it's going to take all of us people to stop everything. They're not going to stop Trump. Nothing's going to happen. This is ridiculous watching the whole thing. If nothing's happened yet, I wouldn't hold my breath too long because you might be waiting quite some time.
Mike, what about Foxconn as an electoral issue? Do you think it is the fight worth fighting on behalf of the people of the state of Wisconsin?
You got to be kidding me. They could take, we could give Walker, promise him $10 billion to stop that deal because the money, you know what? You can't drink or eat that. At some point, you just got to remember that water is like really important, and that's the biggest issue is the pollution and the waste of water. And I know you guys said, 8 million gallons a day from a big lake like that, basically a small ocean, isn't much. But let me try and put that in perspective for you. Imagine if you pumped that through the dome of the Capitol every day. Can you imagine what that would look like down every street for miles and miles and miles and miles? That's a hell of a lot of water.
Yeah, they're talking about losing 2.1 million gallons to evaporation each day.
Yeah, and then you got to figure they're going to be able to regulate themselves on how they run waterways and where they pollute and stuff. Come on, we can't trust these guys. This is ridiculous. We got to protect our state.
Can't trust Walker or Foxconn?
Either. They're in bed together, and it's nasty. But it's fun when you go to the Capitol and protest, just like all these other organizations. And I still think there's going to be that one day where we all hook up and show up together. It's going to overwhelm them. But it's really fun when you notice that the cops had to use the weasel hole to come out of the governor's office because it said, "Quiet, please, something in session," and I was leading the way, and we were chanting really, really loud. So take that, Walker.
Loud noises. Always appreciate you and your protesting ways, Pizza the Box. He always took the road less traveled.
844-967-2789. Betsy, you are next. Happy Monday, Betsy. What do you got for us today?
Happy Monday. Happy Monday. And oh, my God, I love you, Pizza Box Mike. You're one of my heroes, too. And you guys are the resistance. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I didn't even wake up until you guys came on the air. I knew something stunk when Walker got elected. And then watching everything just fall apart and Act 10 and everything. And then you guys jumped on it and started, blowing the whistle. So don't stop, please. Never stop blowing this whistle because look, we have an illegitimate president right now. We have a constitutional crisis. We got traitorous, complicit Wisconsinite representatives who are allowing this to continue. All for what? Money. Sick, twisted, evil money. And as far as Nancy Pelosi goes, I love my women politicians, and I will stand and I will tell everybody you can go jump in the lake because these girls are standing up for our country. So thank you very much.
Betsy, any qualms with the fact that Nancy Pelosi reportedly has a net worth north of $185 million on a $184,000 a year job?
Good people have money too, You're one of them, Crudy, aren't you?
You must be kidding me, sister. I'd never had Nancy Pelosi money.
Nancy Pelosi didn't always have Nancy Pelosi money, though, right?
Yeah, then she became the Speaker of the House.
And then you get Nancy Pelosi money. Thank you for the call, Betsy. Always love to hear your voice, my friend. 844-967-2789. Philip from Waukesha. You are next. Thanks for calling, Philip. What do you think?
Hey, guys. Hey, you read that article and everything, and I agree with that article 100%. I think we've been doing this resistance ever since Trump got elected, and it's been all fine and dandy. I think we need to get into attack mode. There's only 5 months until the elections. I haven't seen any commercials, no Democratic, no commercials for anybody. We need to learn from the Republicans and how they're so successful. You go on message and you repeat it enough, and people start believing it. And we've got to start leading with the Democratic leadership. This guy's a liar. He's a criminal, and we've got to start calling him that. Not Mr. President. It's not President Trump. It's the Don. It's the mafia leader. It's the crook. It's the thief. It's the liar. And everybody, we keep, waiting, talking about Congress. We can't depend on Congress to do anything because they're not. They're incapable of doing anything until they're voted out of office. And we have to start everything. I mean, heck, we've got enough ammunition like you guys. Every day there's 10 things we can talk about that's new. I mean, it's like a murderer telling, he gets to pick his prosecuting attorney. It's my relative or whatever. I mean, this is the criminal ruling the prison. And the Democratic leadership is failing, and we're going to blow this. He gives us enough ammunition, and we've got to start trying to be nice to this guy. Stop calling him the president. You can call him a fake president or whatever, and tell it like it is.
Hashtag not my president, Philip.
That's right. I mean, he's not my president. He's illegitimate. He's a fake president. He lies all the time. We've got ammo. They've already had people plead guilty to charges, and these are his employees, and they're guilty. How many indictments have been?
22 indictments, 5 guilty pleas to date, and that number's growing by the day, sir.
And it's going to grow, and there's going to be a lot more. But we have to start attacking. and stop being passive about this.
Philip, have you ever heard the Devil's Advocates panel be passive about anything?
No, you guys are different. But we need a national. We need the government, the Democrats, the DNC. We need the senators. We need the Democratic representatives. And we've got to start getting spending some money and putting commercials out on this. I mean, there's so much fodder out there that we can use, and the Democratic Party is doing nothing. If the shoe were on the other foot, the Republicans would be spending money attacking the Democrats. And I don't see any commercials attacking Scott Walker.
Hey, what about the People for People Corporation? They've done some of the finest media work I've heard this elective cycle. All of the negative Scott Walker campaign ads are coming from the People for People Corporation. They're the good people.
They are some fine people. You can find them at p4ppc.org.
Give till it hurts.
Thank you for the call, Philip. Let's get one more in. Mark from Reedsburg. You will have the last word today. Thanks for calling, Mark. What do you think?
Hey, Mark.
Hey, fellas. How are you?
Good, man.
Excellent, sir.
Good. You know, I get so tired of listening to this. We got to point out what Trump did. And, if people don't understand the crony, crazy, psychotic nutcase that this guy is by now, it would just blow my mind. I mean, let's stop focusing on what we already know, and let's let the Mueller and those guys do the investigation. We should be focusing on things that matter, like policy. And I'm trying to do my best. I'm up here. I'm a small business owner. I got a little store on Main Street in Reedsburg, and I'm putting a event on tomorrow night and in June for Art.
What's your event, Mark? Plug it here.
It's tomorrow night. It's pizza and politics over pizza tomorrow night from 6 to 8 at Reedsburg Lighting and Home. And June 14th, it's Jazz Wine and Cheese meet and greet with our local candidate, Art Schrader, for the 50th Assembly District here in Wisconsin.
Hey, Mark, are you listening to us right now on 1580 AM WTTN Columbus?
You know what? I'm listening to you online.
Well, Mark, you could be listening to us on the radio. You got to tell your neighbors, buddy. You want your plugs to go farther? Tell all your neighbors. Resistance Radio is in your backyard, sir. I drove all the way to the Dells yesterday, heard clear signal north out of Middleton the whole way to the Dells and back. Mark, I know it gets a little fuzzy around Reedsburg, but get a big antenna, sir, and tell all your friends.
I've been a fan of you guys for a long time, and I'll continue to be. I love your honest and open perspective on the real issues.
Well, thank you so much, sir.
Thanks, Mark.
Good one. In our 1580 listening map, right down there in Reedsburg, I got the fine guests. They included Fred Royal. He is the president of the NAACP Milwaukee branch. Terrance Warthen, our Wisconsin Revolution. We're going to see if we can make that a regular gig around here. I like what they're doing. Tomorrow, Nicole Safar, Executive Director, Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin, going to talk about a couple of Wisconsin Senate candidates who think abortion should be illegal, no exceptions. Do not pass goal. Do not collect $200.
Personhood amendments.
Yes, all that kind of stuff. And we'll keep doing what we do, hating on Tony Evers and shooting straight right here on the Devil's Advocates. 3 hours each weekday, 1580, 1510 on the interwebs.
We got a special edition of Earl coming up.
Yeah,
next.
You better stick around. Earl Ingram this Saturday, a tremendous culmination, 200 nights of marches. Well, Saturday, it was great. It'll play out. Stick around.
And we're actually thinking of a sixth, and that would be the Space Force. Does that make sense?
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely